Welcome everyone. It is our usual every other Wednesday target of the week discussion. We're gathered to see if I can spell this, aesthetic. All right. And we're gathered as we do every other Wednesday to discuss our remote viewing practice sessions. Those of us who are here know that we're being recorded and that this will be shared on YouTube for the folks who can't be here today and listen when they can and are possibly working the target. And when we share our sessions, they compare them to theirs, and because each of us gets something different because we are all different as people, then we all learn. So welcome everybody. As most of you know, I just talked to Lynn Buchanan on the phone. He's not feeling well, won't be with us tonight. We'll miss him, miss all his wise words, pearls. All methodologies are welcome, and those folks learning at home, freestyle. And with Lynn here, we learn about other viewing skills besides controlled remote viewing because he's been in the business and used it in operations. And so he speaks all the methodologies. So this is our remote viewing practice target for this week, 131016. And on first blush or first glance, you would think that this is a not very interesting target to remote view. Like a phase 1 target, not much going on. It's actually a stock photo, a commercial photo. So don't try to plug it into any search engines to learn about the location or whatever. I've tried, and there's nothing to be had. The only thing that comes up is a lot of people who would like to advertise their services for events. Now, let's just look at this target for just a moment. It has some really unique features, and that's why I chose it. Number one, PAIR, Princeton Research, identified literally in their published research that some of the viewers had difficulty when they reported their perceptions as expected by the analysts who set up the project, because they were looking out windows and sometimes they were inside and they would report being outside. So this target gives you the opportunity to do that exact thing. When I was being monitored by John Glass, I was at viewing a fishing boat, small one, and in the front of it, in the keel house, there was a window. And one minute I was viewing some things that looked like solid man-made, whatever my perceptions were. Then he gave me a move command, like 2 feet to the right. And I did, and all of a sudden I was seeing mountains and all this vista. And I started writing down perceptions. I literally wrote on the right side of my paper, "This makes no sense," and went back to the left side of my paper and started viewing again. And what he had done was maneuvered me into a spot so that I could learn this very thing. And it was an eye-opener and a real aha moment, and obviously it stuck with me. So this target gives you that opportunity. You can see through the window outside. You can tell that there is some elevation to this structure, this building that you're in. It appears to be, as I think most of us would agree, that this event would be a wedding reception. There's the cake. Your tasking, by the way, your blind tasking is the target is a man-made at an event. Describe the man-made and anything else at the event that is of interest to you. So some of you might be somewhat disappointed in yourselves because you didn't get the wedding cake, but you had the opportunity to get a lot of different man-made. If you're a musician, there are music cases on the either vinyl or leather couch back there. It's open, and it looks like, I can't tell if that's some sound mix equipment over on the right, some audio stuff. There is the cake. There is the, oh gosh, the word escapes me now. The champagne is in the ice bucket. And you have the table. You have 2 champagne glasses. There are plants branching out into the biological. There are no people present other than obviously the person taking the photo. So there's at least one person. There are curtains in the background, etc., etc. Now let's look at and think about some of the sensories that you could get from this target. The cake itself. You've got colors on the cake. You have patterns on the cake, different patterns. You have the scroll work and you have the beading. You have the pink roses on top. Those would be another organic biological. You have rose petals on the table. You have the taffeta or silk, whatever is covering the table, and it's bunched up into swags. So you've got patterns there as well as textures. You have the ice bucket, and it looks to me like they're from the top, just under the rim, there's a different color of silver. So I'm reasonably sure that that's where the ice starts. So you're going to have moisture collected on the outside of it. It's going to feel cold if you touch it. So remember your move commands for this stuff, your cues are mentally touch the target, feel, mentally taste the target, mentally kick the target. Whatever you want to do, you can mentally do it and like mentally kick the target. Sound? And again, the textures present, you've got the table covering, you have the cake itself, you have the scroll work, you have the curtains in the background, the plants off to the right, the couch in the back, the various colors are present, densities and compositions. You have, and there's the glass of the champagne bottle and the density and composition of the cake. So there is a lot of sensory information that can be obtained from this target. So that being said, we'll just start looking at some sessions. I'm going to get Richards going here or Ron, I'm sorry, I do that. Richie is waiting. I hope he can hear. Oh, he's in again. So not sure what the heck is going on with your sound system tonight. All right, so here's Ron's. No advanced visuals. He's got good structure. He's taken coordinates, gotten his ideograms, getting sight contact. He's got natural and man-made. It's coming in on his number 2 ideogram. So if he were to have front loading and know that the chief thing, that would be nice if this would scroll. That we were going to be looking for as a man-made. Great. You know, I think I remember this. It wouldn't load before. Might have to go looking for a second session of yours. Anyway, we will get to it, Ron, and I think that you were working on describing the champagne, but we'll see. Richie, yours just happens to be first up, so we're going with it. No advanced visuals. Uh-oh. Teresa's getting click happy. That one, I was just trying to close out the comment section so we had all this session and not the stuff off of the right. All right, back. So he's getting land and man-made 1, natural and man-made 2. So he's working on describing the land. And you notice I didn't ask for a location this time, which I usually let you guys just kind of do your own thing. I said whatever else is interest to you besides the man-made. I'm trying to get you to work on that. So we've got tall, rough, cement-like, rock-like, curved, and it's green. We've got dirt, white patterns. And I'm just going to kind of skip down to his columns in his phase 4. Stage 4. Man-made 1, we've got big, tall, grayish, rough, cement-like, and quiet here. Brown, white, circular, it's big, rounded and curved, and dull. We've got old, bright white colors, multiple, big area, sense of special place, brown, mixed, stone-like, and then, it looks like oldie. Can't quite tell if that's the word that you meant. No. Richie, you can go to the top toolbar and drop down verify your media player. I have to type this stuff in. You're getting good man-made perceptions. It's a wedding. This is a commercial photo. For advertising, so don't expect any location information. And in the meantime, and we've got people now people show respect here. Glass-like colored, stony outside, sounds crunching underfoot, and it's flat. People are talking, they're visitors. Big building, it's curved and arched. Yellow, clean, ambiance, people are respectful. And high. We know that the building the view out the window is high. So you did good with that. And yes, we would be expecting people to be respectful. Good learning opportunity. Identified by pair. Research. You're inside. You're inside. but can see out the window. All right, so it does look like the terrain could be rough. I can't verify that. Hilly open valleys landscape, and this could be any place in the globe because this picture's got various languages when you plug it into the net. And you've got a man-made too, which is metal. And we do have opportunity for a couple metal things that we can see, dark metallic. One had the plant in it. The other was on the champagne, as far as the ice bucket, and the champagne model itself has the foil. I'm sure there are probably some more. There are utensils on the table that are metal. And now you're picking up, oh, here we go. I pointed this out. Target has rich opportunity for several aspects. You've got music case on the couch. Trumpet. And let's see. There's an intensity about this place. Biological sources. Don't know about that. And people talking about being outside. Rope-like and tassel. Sharp, grooved, and long. I was thinking that possibly the swag on the table, but I don't think so. That's a pretty far stretch. He's getting some military overtones. Can't speak to that one way or the other, obviously. He's getting a lot of horse stuff here. And here's the summary. Which are most of the perceptions that we just went over. And this is where you learn your viewers and how well they do in practice. And you watch what they get and how well they describe. They don't have to nail the target by name. How well are they describing what they're seeing? How broad is their vocabulary? How well do they understand concepts? Do they have a grasp of size? And that's what practicing is about. But you guys all know that. I'm preaching to the choir. You just say, Richie, sorry you can't hear. We've recorded a lot. This is where you get to know your viewers and the team. Track record means everything. Not only just to learn. To learn who can describe what they see, not only in real life, but in session. Can't verify a lot of your perceptions, but you have a strong track record. Keep building it. All right, sorry everybody. Did you have any questions? All right, I'm going to pull down another one. Here's Janine. And at home, self-taught, and actually managing to catch on pretty darn well. And Janine, just so you know, you are getting, I'm sure, multiple ideograms in your just so you know, I mean, you've been viewing enough that I'm sure you've progressed to the point where there are multiple ideograms over here. Like, I didn't make Richie's go away. Here, like Richie's got his, you see how Richie breaks his up right here? You learn, this is how an ideogram is supposed to be insofar as when you start breaking it up. And Terry, hi, I know you're new with us. I know you've been working targets other places and doing amazingly well, actually. I know I don't know who you've been getting your tips from. This is the way we usually do it in CRV. It's not the only methodology, but Richie's ideograms here, we take the coordinates, and we usually recommend doing that at least 2 or 3 times to get good, or 3 to 5, good site contact. If you start getting the same things over and over, you can just move on. Or do like Richie did, label it man-made 1 and man-made 2. But here, on his second one, when he took the coordinates, he's got 1, 2, and 3, so he has 3 ideograms in the one gestalt. And then he goes down here and describes them one at a time. 1A, the shape of it, and then he says it feels rough, and it's his ideogram for land. Number 2, and now I'm looking at yours, Zanine, I'm going back and forth here. You're breaking yours out too, but you don't have dividing lines. I guess that's it. But I was just saying, I bet you've got a ton of gestalts in these ideograms. And so then 3, he goes down and breaks that out. There are some methodologies who say to only take the coordinates once. Everything in the target is contained in one ideogram. And, I'm sure that it is if you work that one ideogram to the fullest extent. But we usually encourage taking coordinates more than once to help you get good solid sight contact. So obviously I started talking too soon. I should have been scrolling. You've already broken this out into 1, 2, and 3. You just didn't have the lines in it that I'm used to seeing, and that's what I fixated on. So I apologize for that. You're already on top of it. We do usually encourage a little space in between so that you are not on the same line. You are always moving down the page. So if you could remember, I'd encourage you to start moving your IAB complexes down underneath your ideogram. Still on the right side of the page, but move it down so that they aren't level. All right, now let's see, we're starting to get object, life, multiple, descending. And remember, at this phase 2 and stage 2, you're getting information from all over the target, even though she's chosen her object as far as that ideogram to start working. And here she's writing spatial quality. And I'm looking to see if she might, if you want to type in what does spatial quality mean to you. We've got large metals transporting, blue, silver, gray, and expansive. There you go. And for some reason, she has a person with a cat in front of them. A large cat with stripes. So I was trying to get something in that cake. Does Janine know a large cat? She's fixated on a very large cat. Okay. All I can say is I do not see a cat in the feedback picture, and I can't say where this location is or whether they might have a cat living there. All right, help me think, everybody. And I'm not waffling, and I'll say might. So Lynn, yes, it might be. When I looked this photo up, there were images. I mean, there were languages that looked like Eastern or Slavic, as well as Oriental, Asian. From the furniture and everything, it could be a westernized hotel room or something. I would not equate it off the top of my head with an Asian atmosphere. The topology doesn't, I don't know about that either. But one thing you would think about is what countries or locations have something to do with cats. She rarely gets animals, and she got them twice on this one. She's also got like a bracelet here with a bird on it. So that could be something symbolic, and if the customer knew anything about this, if this was an operation, it could be very valid feedback. But for this, unless there's a duck on the champagne, and that's a stretch. You can zoom in on that. There could be a duck on there. Don't know. Similar to bracelet, like an eagle or thunderbird phoenix. So that could be something in symbolic. I certainly can't verify it. And she's seeing people seated on a bench in a line. And she's good relationship reporting here. There are 5 life forms, so she's able to count them. 2 larger, 3 slightly smaller. We can't verify that. And then we've got a female who is dressed up, has an animal on a leash, and she's tiger, leopard exiting like a plane or ship, possibly a photo op. Don't have any idea if she jumped the target or if that has anything to do with this, what appears to be a wedding. I said you could describe something else that is of interest to you. However, that was after you described the man-made. It was secondary. Corner building with lots of windows and a segmented curved roof. And here's where she usually starts doing a good job. She's very good on getting structure. She has a tendency, and she knows this, to name them. Like she'll name a bridge a house. And as Lynn said about her stuff a year ago, if you peel out her nouns and go with her perceptions, she's usually right on. So you get her conscious mind stuff out of the way, and her perceptions are good descriptors. So I can't speak to the corner part, but we do have lots of windows. They do have segments like panels, and the curved roof, I cannot say that she's taking that Malance and doing something with it, but it has a pattern in and of itself, and it does have a swag on the side that's curved. That's not waffling. That's just knowing your viewer and what she tends to do. So early perceptions were of life, multiple man-made motion energy, seems to be multiple life form, both human and biological. Impression of a male person standing behind a large cat, perhaps a tiger. We could have a stuffed animal in this place for all I know. Man had a medium dark complexion. I had another impression of a row of people, approximately 5, seated in a line, 2 slightly larger than the others. Further impression of a female who appeared somewhat dressed up in a skirted outfit and hat. Large cat going down a ramp. Well, I guess if it's going down a ramp, it's probably not a taxidermy type. Which appeared to be attached to a larger structure behind them. Cat appeared to be on a leash. Also had perception of what might have been a bracelet or necklace with an eagle or thunderbird in the center and metal pieces curving backwards. Final impression was of a building with segmented roof and large bank of windows, which was located on a curved corner. Aside from the visuals, I got very little information. And Janine always types her comments and questions in. So I'm kind of giving you a little time. It is what it is. I keep saying you and I are going to start hanging out more together. I know you, and I'm reasonably sure you just need to kind of be corralled just a little bit. Don't feel bad. Okay? Especially the people. I'm really impressed with the people in a line. I can't see them. Can't say that they're there. But the very fact that you're reporting them and relationships and sizes and gender, that's pretty significant. And I don't blow that off because this is a people event, okay? So like I knew you guys might not think you did very well on this. No worries. This is a target that had a lot to teach you whether or not you got the wedding cake, okay? And the only way for us to teach you about all the stuff that's in this target is to get together and go over it. And, there are a lot of people out there with target pools that you can work whenever you want. So if I'm going to choose a target for you, I'm going to hopefully try and incorporate a learning opportunity into it. And I also want these webinars that we do, to not have targets, if at all possible, that are like on Lynn's website, that people can say, well, they just went over there, because that's what I did early on. And people who are skeptical could say, well, they went over there and looked at the feedback before they ever did it. They configured the coordinates out. These targets are nowhere to be found. So good, bad, or indifferent. And I do try to find targets that I can teach you something when we do them. Don't get out the wet noodles, okay? All right, let me close this out just so I know I'm making some progress here. Let's see who we've got. Here's Michael's. And we've got 7 pages just so I have some clue. We've got bio, natural, man-made. Oh, nope, natural again. And he's in phase 2 and he's working them. Green, wet, dry, fishy smell, and a checkered pattern, alternating rows, warm, humid, mangly, Rio, wetland, swamp. Oh, we haven't been talking about that plant quite a bit. Rhythmic motion, switchy sound, quite other than sound, sport, spots higher than others. And we've got alternating patterns, quilt-like, patchy. And we've got wet, dry, higher, patchy area. And remember, you have to take your perceptions and switch them up into pictures. It's just like reading a story in a book. Nobody's giving you the photograph. You have to have associative memory and be able to take these perceptions and reassemble them in your head into an image. All right, bio is standing over, higher than the patches, many bios, some moving, some watching, many colors. So see, here's another viewer, Janine, with many bios. Third world feel. Strong smell, sweet spices, smell of people that eat. Strong spices, oh, I gotcha. Dark color skin, exposed to sun. Here's a bio above others. I'm looking to see if, Michael, if you want to comment or take your mic off mute. You've got patchy. That's interesting with the guy going with something going across his shoulders. We've got green, greenish, and dark murky color. And remember, Terry, you probably, or you may not know this, but a summary is at the end of your session where you go through your perceptions and you start putting them by gestalt. And what do you want to keep and what do you think is junk? And you're only listening to that little voice, good, bad, good. There's nothing that's going to tell you. It's just you make a decision. And because your session is full of conscious mind overlay, and if it's an AOL or a stray cat that you've declared, it may be reminding you of something. It may actually be at the site, and if so, we usually say that it has a good chance of coming back, or it may be totally junk and leading you off into castle building. If you get an an AOL, there's something that usually a kernel of something in the AOL that's reminded you of something. And so, go ahead and come over, excuse me, itching my nose. And you can describe it for a few perceptions, but remember, it may be total junk and it'll be pulling you off target and your session's just done. So if that's the case, if you need to, if it's something that reminds you, come over and try and describe it a little bit, but then pull another perception from another part of the target and start working it. You would just choose it and write it in parentheses so you didn't fixate on the stray cat or AOL. And the natural has green, wet, dry, flat, fishy smell, warm, humid, marshy feel, wetlands, not wet land, but wet land. Some spots are higher than others. I gotcha. The difference between wetlands and wet land. Target has a checkered pattern, alternating rows, quilt-like feel to it within the squares. The rows are patchy. We're going to take a look at the carpet here in a split second. Rhythmic motion, swishing sound, quite other than swishing sound. Not sure what you mean by that. And bios have elements of standing over higher than others. Some are moving from watching many colors, rough texture, third world feel, strong smell of sweat and spices, and smell of people that eat strong spices and sweat, and they have dark skin and are exposed to the sun a lot. All right, we do have the capability, if I can get away from that little bouncing thing, to zoom in and look at the carpet. We do have some alternating square type patterns. I don't know about the wet land. You could be looking outside the window, but I did, and if you're describing a gestalt, land is a noun as well as the gestalt. So we think of the building as being a structure, but it has the I-ness or the gestaltic concept related to land. So there, you could argue that one philosophically, and there'll be purist viewers who will never buy that, no matter how many martinis you pump in them, first, before, during, or after. They will never, ever buy into that one. But anyway, that was a possibility. I wanted to look at that carpet. And here's a close-up on whatever appears to be, I'm thinking it's a music case, but I can't swear to it. This reminds me of definitely a briefcase. And that looks like a headset. And we're zooming in on whatever this lit up man-made is back here. Does not look like a jukebox to me. Looks like some kind of electronics. But, I haven't hung out where there are all kinds of gaming things for a long time. An electric cord back there. All right. I'm kind of looking at that cake up close and personal. A lot of foliage up there on top of that. Just looking at everything up close while we're there. Okay. Put that back. Okay, Michael, did you have anything? He's not had a mic tonight either. I might have to give WebEx a call. He hasn't typed in that he doesn't have sound. Yes? Able to hear me? Feels like a bus to me because I feel like I was outside. Did you hear me talking about the windows? Okay, you can hear me. I hear you about the checker pattern on the windows. I would tend to compare it to the carpet, especially, I made your session go away. You even colored it. You colored it yellow. Good grief. There we go. Oh, except I don't think I had your name on yours. Got lucky. All right, look at this quilt-like patchy, and you even colored it with yellow. Janine's even saying it reminds her of a pattern you might see on a commercial carpet. And oh, boy, we're getting a big zoom of outside now. Interstate with big lights and stuff. Buildings over in the background look like high rises. Anyway, back to the carpet. Dark murky color. You used a greenish color. Well, your greenish color, for the dark murky, your yellowish color looks yellowish like the carpet. But, just saying, your session doesn't have to be the carpet. Just I noticed some similarities there, so I thought it might be. I want to know what this guy's doing with the barbell things. Instead of doorknobbing, can I call it carpeting? Well, carpeting is a noun. However, you can describe the carpeting, the carpet-like, which I think you even might have possibly sketched the carpet-like. Maybe. Possibly. excuse me, but I used to decorate cakes a little bit. Whoever did that scroll work did a good job. Amazing. And you didn't doorknob because that isn't the only thing that you described at the target. It's not like when Lynn did nothing but describe the actual doorknob on the building, when the building was the target. You described a lot of other things. All right, let's see here. Here's Miss Michelle. See what I can do here by get this stuff. It is not happening here. There. Now, especially with Miss Michelle, when you give her the opportunity to describe whatever else might be of interest to her, there's a lot of things that interest her. So I left myself wide open on that. She did have, I thought this was very interesting, symbolically. Excuse me, I got a little dry there. What do you think of what we would consider to be a wedding reception and a preview of coming attraction of goalpost? Anybody have any comments about that? What does a goalpost, Michelle, if you want to uncue or unmute your mic or type in, as an analyst, it's okay if I ask you, I'm not telling you anything about the target if we were operational, but for a P5 exercise, what does goalpost mean to you? If for some reason I couldn't ask you, a goalpost to me usually signifies that you've scored, in sports, usually football or soccer. There are a few other sports, but that usually means that you achieved your goal if you got the ball through the goalposts. So for somebody who's been organizing a wedding, that could be a symbolic stray cat. However, goalpost is very sporty, and she needs to be very careful because it is an AOL, and it is, or stray cat, and so it therefore does need to be set aside so it doesn't hijack her whole entire session. I would like to point out, though, that I recently, in June, attended a formal occasion that was in the top of a stadium. That it has an event area, it's very large, and it was a catered event, and it was a dinner. And so, for all we know, and I thought I made this association, for all we know, this actually could be in a stadium environment. So, that's pretty slim to none, and I'm not waffling, I'm just pointing out. Things happen that you really would not associate the two things, but a customer would know a lot of times. He doesn't know the whole thing, or he wouldn't be asking you to do a remote viewing session. But so the main thing is, symbolically, goalpost usually means you have an achievement and of some kind, and or a finish of some kind, and end point. And it's a POCD is an advanced visual. You have to set it aside so you don't fixate on that, let it hijack your session. So that's your learning point takeaways from that. So let's move down. We have 11 pages, lots of good site contact, ideograms, man-made, land, motion, biologicals. Well, she's getting them all. Huge feel like, now she's doing a little bit of football here. Large square domed. Can't say what we've got in so far as a structure. Fighting football stadium. There you go. Build up curves, and so she's really fighting that AOL that she had, that POCD. More mouth guard and stadium, and she's trying to set it aside. You can, if you're absolutely hijacked by something like this and you want to dump it, you can always do a P5 session and see if you can work your way through it, blow out the pipes, and you can work your session as long as you want and find out that it's total junk, that you build a huge castle, or you can just call it a day, or see if the P5 exercise works for you, and you go back to viewing again instead of castle building, and you have a good session, and it's totally your call. So, Boulevard, beautifully landscaped college area, you know, this could be at a university. We don't know that, so we can't waffle. Right now, sprawling, urban, outskirted, light-filled, light shooter, large, disked, high, and boxy. I still don't know what this piece of electronic something is just off to the right. And there's a headset back there. For all I know, we could be discoing later on. Let's see, man-made, moves inconspicuous, white covered, pop-up, turns, highly sensitive, man-operated, semi-healthcare stray cat, healthcare device or bookmobile, quarantined. Okay, here we have quarantined in quotation marks, and often a stray cat that's in quotation marks is coming directly from the signal line, so it's phase 7. So you consider that. We've got sound system, crowd helper, many-wheeled, tarp-like, centered, bottom attached, flat, slick paneled, and building buttressed. We've got, and you notice Michelle writes her coordinates at the top of the page, and she cues herself with every page. The target is the target, describe the target. So let's see. It's living up, cueing, snaking around, pressurized, pushing down, spraying up, lever controlling, pushing forward, pulling back. We've got grip and something, rock game, grip game. I'm hearing actually machines outside that could be this whole thing. All right. So that's in her real life. She just made a note. She's hearing building or machines outside. So now we've got a large wooden arm thing and circling around and around. Sharp metal coming down and Lido black. Okay, good job. She has a really hard time. She's very descriptive. This is, again, knowing your viewers. Very descriptive, writes, and she has a hard time not telling stories and writing full paragraphs. So for her, she's doing a very good job breaking down into perceptions and short descriptors. So we've got windbreakers, ball cap, uniform blends in. You're fighting that stadium stuff again. High-tech walkie-talkie, emergency-oriented, crowd-focused, watcher types. And we've got crowds, and we know we have an event here. So there might be crowds. Can't verify that. And then something opens like a ladybug's wing. So in your head, look at her little sketch over here and think about how a ladybug's wings open up. And you would have to look at that if you were the customer and think about that and see if there's anything here that applies. I don't know. The curtain scallops in the back, so you're looking at her perceptions leading up to that. Maybe it just popped in. Roses, not so much. They're open. We've got, let's see, open air, excitement, movement, time-oriented. Cars are honking, flags are waving, blankets and food people are carrying. Lots of electricity focused here. It's a regular occurrence, gauging something in the crowd. Easily spotted from up high. Senses, moving, trouble funnel, and fine-tooth comb. Fountains drinking. Tanks clean up. River nearby. And gravel ditches. She also likes environmental things. If you ever get to be operations, if there's anything to do with outside stuff, topology, I think I might contact you. Sprayers and sprinklers, pool for swimming across. All right, an AI. Knowing her, she's probably had an AI before this, but I'm in the parking lot. It's nighttime and empty, and she feels curious. So her spatial relationship to the target, I'm in a parking lot. It's nighttime. I feel curious. So that's the emotion that accompanied her spatial relationship to the target. And she's saying I, and setting aside the emotion so it doesn't hijack her session. And nothing going on now, but I see signs of preparation, like a circus coming to town. Well, sometimes with weddings, that's not so far from the truth. Vehicles lined up and around something. Says she's got her facility is not circular, more octagonal. Curve all around. Several double doors, movable, tall, heavy barriers, toll booths from all four directions, traffic control. Somebody else got military, it's starting to sound, and somebody else, crowd control and structured, and place feels much bigger than with an open field center and lots of light. The purpose, and she's still large sports facility. And she's starting to write her summary. Aspects of land, man-made, motion, biological, space, and water. Well-organized plot to flow towards a special facility. Large stone brick shell of a building. A long vehicle-type machine that is used for support in crowd activity. Motion was all about the crowd coming and going, vehicles. Strange, I never focused on that so-called sports area. And the biologicals behind the scene, caretakers communicating wide span motion, big crowds of families and friends having fun. Space felt like a happy treat for the main something. Big headache behind the scenes. Yeah. Event constantly studied for new ideas of crowd movement and safety. I wonder whose wedding this was. Water was nearby river, and swim facility nearby, regular water fountains and sprinklers. Now this is particularly interesting, this last sentence. If you had a customer, the way she writes this, say it was law enforcement looking for someone particularly, and you wanted to focus your resources, you had 2 or 3 options. The water was a nearby river, a swim facility nearby, regular water fountains and sprinklers. So that could be something that would be really important to a customer. Might not mean anything to you at all. And for a little bit there, her descriptors, I thought maybe she was going to get into cake decorating. Ron might be, and I thought Michelle might be, and maybe Terry. And Miss Michelle, if you have anything to say, the floor is yours, as always. And I'm not seeing a mic on her. Man, I tell you, I've got to call WebEx. Something is not right. Please type in anything that you feel is appropriate. We'll bring up Terry's, and Terry only sent in one session, I think, a long time ago, several weeks or months ago, and this is her first time to actually be with us tonight. We've emailed a few times, and let's see, no advanced visuals, just taking note here. She's doing set-asides, very good, feeling very pressured to have a good session this time. And multiple ideograms. She made a note she's never seen ideograms like in the structured form that she saw here previously. She's going to take note of that and maybe change something up, I think. So here again, we have another rope. A rope coming in, and that's a noun. She puts it over to the side. Very good. Thin line and light colored. You know, unless it's the scrolling on the cake. Let's see. All right, here we've got covering material, triangular shape, holes, rocky, mountainous dirt, and teepee. It reminds her of a teepee. She sets that aside. Hardened built and pyramid, distinct edges, lines, horizontal, crisscross, looks like cross hatching. It's shaded under, go inside something, and up, tunneling, go down below, come up. We've got lines again and movement over them. Light color, white or off-white. Support through the center. I'm not saying it is, but anybody who's assembled multiple layer cakes, they usually have several types of designs and means of supporting them as you start stacking them. Can't say that that's what she's seeing, just saying it's a possibility. Then we've got solid through the center, horizontal, flat. That, by the way, would be usually two perceptions. I feel like I can go into the center of this, radiating outward, but center to this, and then energy. She has an ideogram. She writes unsure or unknown. Movement that goes down and then up, but like underground, then above to open air. Volcano erupting. Energy. Curved line. Something spewing out. Feels like it goes upwards quite a ways. And she writes fireworks. Off to the side declares her AOL and comes back over. Then she thinks she's going to be using or describing a gestalt of animal. rectangular, oh, something plus animal. Rectangular, solid, and entrance-like dark, very narrow opening in something, squeeze through. Then she compiles her sketches. We've got a distinct, centers distinct strength to it, triangular shape, reaches to peak, natural, mountain-like, flows into land form. And we've got ski slope and lava. Something melting down sides, running down the sides, and movement downward. All right, so you have a couple of options. I don't know if any of you, my ideograms rarely match up to my perception. You'll start working through it. Phase 2, you're still getting information from all over the site. And I know you're starting to, you've got P4, your structure's kind of off for CRV. But we've got rising upward, explosion, spewing, fountain, spilling, messy. Then triangular pyramid-shaped thing with something shooting up out of the center and flowing down like a volcano or hot fudge sundae. Well, I'm not seeing anything chocolate, like a hot fudge sundae. But we do have two things here to think about. If you're decorating a cake, unless there are new fancy guns and whatever that you use for that, it's you fill a cone-shaped plastic sleeve. It's wide at one end and narrow at the other, and you put a tip on it, a metal tip. And then you twist the top shut, and you hold it in one hand and keep squeezing it so that you apply pressure with the other hand, and it flows down through and comes out, and your tip determines what your design is. So you've got all the little beads where the cake connects. So that would be like rapid, quick motions. And then you've got the scrolling stuff, which would be a different tip that would be similar to like the motion that she's describing as lava flowing. Now, I'm not saying it is. I'm just saying if you think about how she's describing it. Then over here you have a champagne bottle. Nobody's picking up really cold or ice or anything like that. When you open the champagne bottle, it's also going to spew up with a lot of force and energy, and it also somewhat has a cone shape to it from what you can see in this image, and it's going to run down the sides of the bottle like lava. So that's another possibility. So, just saying. Janine has, could it be champagne or chocolate fountain, both used at weddings? Yeah, very much, and I thought of that too, because they literally are a very big thing at weddings, and who else got something about fountains? And I thought the same thing, and you know, not to waffle, but and being very careful, but if you had more images of this event, you know, you might have a fountain there, champagne fountain even. So when you start looking at each perception in and of itself, and is there something at this target that matches with that perception, there would be a lot of yeses to be scored. And I'm going to keep an eye on you folks over here for comments. And I'm going to go back and pull up, where do I go to get the tasking command? Usually for these, you won't find them. Not for my Wednesday ones. Usually I just tell everybody the target is the target, describe the target, because we have a whole mix of people who come on Wednesdays and listen, and some of them are familiar with working with tasking, some are familiar with working in front loading being very controversial. It lets you focus on your work instead of describing all the man-mades. There are a bazillion man-mades at the site. You could say, I fixated on the event, I'm sorry. Somehow the subconscious goes to the man-made that you want. So there is no place that you're going to go to get the tasking command from my stuff, because I do this for the entire community, and I used to try and put it in the WebEx instructions so that when you registered, that it didn't seem to faze many people, so I kind of gave it up. But I was really tempted to be behind the scenes and be the customer saying, tell me about the cake, describe the flavor, describe the texture, mental, anything like that to see what you got. But instead I stuck with the generic man-made and worked through the different man-mades at the site so we could talk about that tonight. Don't worry, one of these days I'll have you taste something. Now you can set that aside for all your sessions. Is this the target she's going to have to taste something? That'll drive you all nuts. Good. You shouldn't have seen the man-made part because I didn't put it there. If I put it there, the entire remote viewing community is going to start yelling about how the targets weren't blind, I gave information, yada, yada, yada. And there are just some things I'm not willing to put up with. I have enough stuff to put up with. All right, not this one. That leaves, and not that one. Gotta be this one. Yep, that would be the one. All right, let's go and see if I can't retrieve Ron's session. Because I remember the first time I downloaded it, it sort of only did the one. It hung up on let me try it again. Nope. Okay, Ron, if you want to take your mic off, mute, or type in. Did we talk about this? Did you resend it? I'm only seeing just the one. No mic. Now what is up? According to my little logo stuff over here, you have a mic. Oh. Hello? Huh.
Hello.
All right. Oh,
Okay,
hi.
we got it now.
Cool. WebEx has been putting some upgrades and patches through, and I'm not sure if folks need to catch up with their updates, if that's why people who normally can talk can't talk.
I don't know. So you don't have my session? You don't have my session?
No. It only loaded one and a smidgen of the second page. Let me see. That's not working. Oh, well, right out loud.
So you don't know what I saw?
I swear, though, didn't you have something that looked like a triangle?
No.
No?
I had a structure there with a couple squares.
Do you remember if you would have sent it to this email?
Yeah, I send all my sessions to this email.
That's what I thought. You're very, very punctual about doing that kind of thing. Do you think you could possibly send it again?
Yeah, I probably could, but I'll have to get out of WebEx to do it.
Oh, sorry. Darn it.
Okay, I can get back in, can I?
Well, yeah, but I hate to have you go to all that bother.
Well, you got to see what I saw.
Okay. Well, sure.
Okay, I'm going to shut things down here and try to resend it to you.
Okay, sorry.
Okay, when I get out.
All right, so we can chat about whatever anybody wants to chat about, and Ron, I'm going to mute you again. Anyway, questions, anybody? Whatever you want to talk about. The last time we were together, I said I was going to do something I'd meant to do for a long time. Oh, sorry, yawn trying to sneak out there. Which is a community-wide project just to see who wanted to send in what. And as Nathan Peters sent back to me, he says, yeah, Pat Price's crane is, that's getting a little dusty. We need to get some new stuff going on. And then he, put a smiley face with it. And that's something I've been saying that we needed to do for some time. And that's why one of the reasons I'm doing this is, when Ingo researched this with Hal and Russ back in the day, they just had a couple people. They got them together just so they could see if they could get this thing to work, see what they could come up with. So they branched out, found a couple of highly talented people, Pat Price, Paula Hammond, Joe McMonigal, branched out, but they chose people they thought had special quality. And, okay, so we'll take this to the next level, small sampling, but special people. We'll see what happens. So we've gradually branched out over the years. Like Pear did, I don't know how many people were in their study group or sample group that they researched. Ed May has done a large amount of studies with people and a lot of credible peer-reviewed results. And Courtney Brown is working the same kind of scientific type projects, community wide with different methodologies. But I thought, let's just grab some people off the street, us, and see what we can do. All levels of training, all types of methodologies. It doesn't really matter. Let's just see what we can do. And another issue is whenever I want to submit an article or something, or give a presentation or publish an ad, I'm going to give a presentation here in Troy, and I'm putting out ads. I can't reproduce a lot of photos. You need commercial grade photos. And so, sorry, I haven't won the lottery. So I'm getting images donated, and those I am getting permission to use, and those will be used for a set of targets that is a special pool just for this project. And so I put out a call on Facebook, 3 or 4 remote viewing groups on Yahoo, and 10,000 roads. And so all across the community, I left it open for a week, call for viewers, whoever wants to volunteer, you have to sign a waiver. I have a large amount of folks, pushing 20-ish, who said they wanted to participate, and actually everybody who's here since, well, I shouldn't be saying that. Never mind, I didn't say that. Technically, you are not supposed to know your viewing team and operations, because you would be sharing results maybe and comparing, that's not good. So viewers are blind to viewers. Project manager is the interface for viewers as well as customers. This set of targets in this pool are going to be available to the people participating insofar as they can see the coordinates. Beyond that, the document itself, the viewers who are participating are being told it's just like going to Lynn's house. And by the way, there's a saying, it's Lynn's house and it's okay to be psychic here. Well, this is Teresa's house and it's okay to be psychic here. But if you were at Lynn or Lori's, they would have a big stack of targets. And this has been proven through, hundreds of viewers who are in training, that if you pull one target out of the mix, your subconscious knows that that's the target that you're working. So the instructions for those participating viewers are to actually pull that target from the pool, so your subconscious knows that it is the one that you're doing that session for. And there's a deadline, December 18th, because I thought, there's not the fate of the nations on this as far as I know. And so that way everybody has lives and other targets that they're working on and stuff. And so gives you plenty of time. You're on your own. You work as many as you want and send them in. And the only thing is, you need to get your session in before midnight Eastern time on December 18th, because the decryption key goes out to those Word documents on December 19th. And so if those are made public before that time, that's not good. So that's why there's a deadline, and folks are kind of easing into some of the operational rules. And, they're not hardcore, but there are some things that are not negotiable. And those are outlined. They're not too many. We're introducing a few things like time stamping for people who want to branch out and learn that. They speak up. I can direct them to the proper resources. And did I get it? I was kind of improving there. And I figure out which one of these had the right email up. Not that one. That figures. There we go. That one. First of all, we'll save it. Then we'll open it. Shut this down. We have 6 pages, and hopefully we're going to be able to scroll this time. No POCAs. And again, it's stuck. The same thing. I don't know. We'll let my machine sit here or something. Maybe sometimes I do things too quickly. Maybe I did that. Didn't give it enough credit. So we'll see if it pops up. Either that or when you scanned it, something got hung up. You can tell us about it, because I think that it's a scanning issue. It's not an emailing issue. I'm sorry. And if you don't want to tell us about it and just email me later so I can go over your stuff, that's fine. But I downloaded it and it said it was finished downloading. And we still can't see it. No mic again. Oh. There, I took your mute off. You had a mic. I just took your mute off. So, 'tis up to you. If you want to try to describe, what you got, good, bad, indifferent, if you think you have some hits, or if it's just more trouble and it's worth, scan it again and send it to me so I can look at it. Your mic was live. It's still live.
Is it working?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Okay, do you have any more to do?
No, this is the end.
This is the end. I was going to say if you had somebody else, I'd try to rescan it.
No. This was, I saved it till the end because I thought I was going to have to find it in the emails again. And, no, I'm sorry. So, anything you want, any questions about it or that you want to try and bring up?
It's just I saw a lot of good stuff there, and then no one else is going to get to see it.
Darn it.
Especially the squares at the end.
Really?
Yeah.
All right, now hang on. Let me make a note. I can send it around to people if you want to share it. I take the names down of everybody who's here and send it to them so they can see it.
It won't be on the recording.
Oh, you're right. It won't be on the recording.
Yep. Oh, well.
Darn it. So what did the squares look like? What part of the feedback photo
let's see what I can
interesting?
Do. Okay, let me pull my session out here.
Okay.
At my house here, when I bring it up on the computer, it shows 6 pages, and it shows all of them. I don't understand.
Closing these out.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, I went through and I had a natural, a man-made, people, liquid, and land. Okay. On the natural, excuse me, I had hard, cold, white, yellow, red.
Oh, guess what?
It's working now.
I happened to think about cookies. And I thought, well, how about if I check downloads instead of document? Guess what we got?
We got you not having to listen to me read it to you.
Okay. If you want to fudge like that, go ahead.
No, go ahead. You need to look at it. You don't know what's there.
Okay.
Then we'll talk.
All right. Hard, cold, yellow, red, snow white, breathe, found, fresh smell, clean, uneven. We've got bumpy, man-made is bumpy, cobblestone white. I'd like to make this go away, which I tried that earlier and messed that up royally. That's not it. I'll get it back. I promise. At once. I was afraid to make too many choices there. Yeah, I'll do it. I promise.
I think the CRV gods are angry at me tonight.
Not just you. Oops. Wrong viewer. This was the one I think I was successful at a split second ago. Okay. All right. So we've got fireplace with logs, bumpy, a man-made with bumpy cobblestone-like narrow clapping sounds. You notice I'm not touching any buttons. I can make the size a little bigger. Then I can't get rid of this thing over here. I'm having enough issues tonight. Blue-green, holiday-like, warm feeling, reflecting. Older red brick-like gray, smoke smell, gray something like.
Gray mortar-like.
Mortar, okay. Slow walking, browsing. Is that book-like?
Yes.
You know, I did see this because I told you about all the likes.
Mm-hmm.
You're getting so many likes, and they're hooking them up to nouns. And so instead of, you need to put the nouns off to the right and declare them as stray cats, and then describe whatever it is that is like the book. That you, in this session, I've never seen you do this, I don't think. We've got book-like, mannequin-like, looks like yakking-like.
Yes.
This is new for you. And I mean, it's like a growth spurt kind of thing, I think. That's why I was talking to you about intermediate and the columns.
Mm-hmm.
And wet, bubble-like, soda taste, clear, clatter sound, cold. Okay, here we go. Blue reflective, open, much, water bottle. The land is sloping, brown, black, moist, hard. Bird sounds, water sounds. Cool, tree-like, golden red, light green, dark green, breeze-like. And what does breeze-like mean?
I don't know. It must have been a breeze.
Okay. Because you can break that down into like cool, motion, blows my hair, leaf flutters, you know, anything like that. All right, so now we have a sketch.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you're right that I'm trying to describe things with a limited vocabulary. I need to expand it.
And intermediate will let you do that with those columns.
Mm-hmm.
And then, all right, you've got a location sketch here, which you do that fairly consistently. So where are these little squares that have you really excited?
That little up there on the left next to the P2 look like something stacked next to each other.
Uh-huh.
I mean, it doesn't exactly look like the cape, but it's square.
Yes, it does. I mean, it's got squares, they're hooked together. You've got, the thing is, you're hearing bird sounds and stuff. There might be birds outside that window, but there's also decorations on that cake. that look like check marks. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The scroll that comes down and it goes up like a check mark. Not saying that that's what it is.
You mean those might not be birds, those might be check marks?
Could be, except you heard bird sound, so I can't say that for sure. And by the way, that's P3, isn't it? It looks like a P2. It's P3. Just the font is, the print's small because of our little technical stuff tonight.
Well, sometimes when I get into it, I don't number things and spell things like I'm supposed to.
Yeah, well, you did this time. That's a 3. I wonder what's up with the stray cat of a whip. It's curly cute.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody who wants to throw some comments in here, feel free. Have people walking again. Look at the multiple people in a line of different sizes. Down here, walking or lined up. They might not be walking. Sorry, my bad. And over there too, over at the right, what looks like a structure. Which, by the way, the structure has a curved top, for those of you who got that. There's another viewer with a similar perception. All right, target appears to be natural man-made people, liquid and land. Structure appears to be hard, cold, white, yellow, red, snow-like. Rare breeze sounds, fresh smells, clean smell. Man-made appears bumpy, cobblestone-like, narrow, clopping sounds, clapping. Movement, round, red, blue. Warm feeling, reflective, structure like older, red like brick-like, with gray mortar, like. And smoke, smell, and firelight. And people slow walking, browsing, and he's picking up spicy smells too. And books, more women, and mannequin like stiff, cold, pinkish, staring, yakking. That's interesting. They're yakking. They're not conversing or talking or whatever. They're yakking. I like that. And low whispers. The liquid appears wet, bubble-like, soda taste, clear, clatter sounds. That odd or cold, do you think? Cold, white, blue, reflective, open, and much. Land appears to be sloping, brown, black, moist, hard, bird sounds, water sounds. Cool, tree-like, golden red, light green, dark green, and breeze-like. He has stray cats of fireplace with logs, storefront, water bottle, and whip. Now, considering the fact that we have a bottle of champagne and storefront with those big plate glass windows, a fireplace with logs, may be one, may not be one, don't know. But those two stray cats, are pretty significant, I think. Oh, there is a comment that will be on the recording. The whip is for the honeymoon. Sometimes when you crack the whip, that's the whole marriage. So, cracking a whip, but
well, if anybody's cracking the whip, she's cracking it on him.
You think? That'll get us all kinds of political correctness and incorrectness depending on your point of view.
I just can't get over how when I do these sessions, they make no sense to me at all. And I'll put the perceptions down and I'll draw a picture and I'll say, I have no idea what this is, and this is junk. It's just junk. And then when you start looking at the picture, then you start seeing little things.
Mhm. Very good. Well, I hate to tell you, I mean, you're a really good viewer, but you do have this mediocre streak, which is all of us think that we can't do this. We all think we're, crappy, and for that you fall right in line.
Mm-hmm. Well, by doing it that way, then I have a tendency to try to improve more instead of having a big head and saying, "Oh, I'm so great."
And when you stay humble like that, you turn out good sessions. That's just the way it works. And when you think that you're all that in a bag of chips, and you're making proclamations and going on the 6 o'clock news and being all braggy, you kind of have to wonder just how much of a hole you're digging for yourself. So
yeah. Well, the only people that's going to see my work is you and the people on our WebEx.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to go out there. I'm not going to put it in a book. I'm not going to go out there and put it on TV. I'm not going to brag about it. Matter of fact, I just rather keep it to myself.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, sharing in applications is a good thing. So.
Mm-hmm. Well, I like sharing on the WebEx here, but I mean, I'm not going to go and do a target, then I'm going to go out and run to the newspaper and say, "Look what I can do."
Yeah. Well, there are some people who do, is what I'm getting at. And the folks who usually think that they can't do anything that's worth even talking about are usually the ones who are nailing the target.
Mm-hmm. I think you just described the horseless headman.
Really? The horseless headman or the headless horseman?
No, that's what he called himself. During Halloween, they have this commercial.
Really?
You get this big head walking around with this little body. And the kids walk up to him and say, "Who are you?" He says, "I'm the horseless headman." He said, "Don't you mean the headless horseman?" He says, "No, I don't have a horse."
Oh, geez.
It's just a big head with a little skinny body and a couple arms. But you have to watch it a couple times to really catch on to what he's saying. But it's cute. So if you don't catch it within the next 2 weeks, you have to wait another year.
Yeah, well, I probably won't catch it.
Well, I've only seen it twice this year.
Yeah. I'm looking one more time. I'm really impressed with that storefront, by the way.
Thank you. Actually, now that I look at it, with the little curtains up above there, it almost looks like the one we did 2 weeks ago. With the safe. Or was that 4 weeks ago? Where I had the storefront and it had like little flags or something hanging down.
Well, once again, you guys might not be really impressed with yourselves, but you score your sessions one perception at a time. And you simply objectively look at them and say, is there something at the target that matches this perception? And, if nothing else, when you start looking at it that way, when you do research your site and learn about new cultures and expand your vocabulary and think about things like you realize that you don't do very well with densities, you're always fixated on a certain thing, and you start cueing yourself with, move to this part of the target and poke it and see, what does it feel like? And you start expanding your perception abilities, with the scoring. And that's what that's what it's made for, not only to help you with your strengths and weaknesses and to build your track record so you know how to help yourself along in training, but it also teaches you to look at different aspects of the target and think about, well, what is density? What is composition? What is a pattern? What is a texture? Stuff like that. So that's what those score sheets are to help you do. And I hope you're filling them out. All of you. So I think that's all I have. Anybody who's in the Troy area on November 2nd, there's going to be a presentation at the Troy Hayner Center on Saturday, 10 a.m. to 2. Going to get Lynn in there for a guest shot. And then again, 10 to noon, then 2 to 4. And I think if they have an opening on Sunday, I might run it Sunday afternoon too, to expand the amount of people who can come, because it only seats 80 at a time, and I have no idea. So we're going to give that a go. So that's something that's going on. The new operational project for publication is going on. And DAS puts out everything in the community that's going on. Facebook's really active. And if any of you have anything that you want to bring up newsworthy, feel free. Paul Smith was just down at the Rhine, and this could be very significant. There was a question brought up down there, I think a year or so ago maybe, whether or not controlled remote viewing could actually be taught. So there is some thoughts out there that it can't be. And so he was going down to give a presentation and specifically address that. So I'm kind of anxious to hear how that went. So that's pretty much all I have, I think. If anybody has anything else, feel free. It's 8 minutes after 10. And we've been at it 2 hours. And I think we're probably going to be calling it a night. If CRV is a method, why couldn't it be taught? Jenny is asking. It's a good question. I mean, it was a training method. And so really that question doesn't make any sense. And supposedly the government scrapped the program, said it didn't work. I think we've gotten to the point where a little of that has to do with semantics. The term remote viewing indicates that you can see the target, and not everybody can see the target. So the viewing part is possibly the hang-up, because if you want to use it as a data collection program, CRV works. You record data across time and space. Now, if you're going to throw the word viewing in there, like ERV, then you have a semantic split. And so it's not going to teach you to view in that context. I'm not sure that it ever was meant to. Of course, that could land me in some hot water, and there's no backup here from Lynn. But I don't know that, in no place written anywhere, that it actually taught you to view like ERV. Now, it's not talked about a lot. In the unit, they would alternate. One day do CRV sessions on the target, and the next day do ERV. So they did, and they used other stuff too when they used for data collection. But I think that might be part of it. And there are people out there who don't believe in CRV, didn't think it ever worked. And, I could name a couple of pretty big names, and that's their story, and they're sticking to it, unless Paul manages to convince some folks down there of otherwise. The only thing is, the folks who are saying that, I have to ask myself and them, have they looked at any of our stuff? What are they going to call what we're getting? If you want to say that the sketches that people are producing are nothing more than regurgitating the feedback photo, well, it's pretty amazing how what we're sketching goes along with a summary, which is 3D, and a sketch is 2D. You've got a flat drawing in a sketch. You may have some people who are good at sketching in depth and stuff, but when you put a summary with that tells a story and inflates it into a 3D scenario, and you have activities, interviews of people at the site, descriptions of the topology, the purpose, all of that, then, that's a data collection tool. And whether or not the word viewing is the hang up, I'm not sure. But, when you get a summary that tells all about the site in depth, that's significant. So, that's just one of these little in-community stumbling blocks that we need to get worked out. And whether or not people will ever agree, I don't know. No idea. But the term remote sensing is widely used already in the geospatial information services world. Very good, Michael. Okay. And he's responding to Janine's controlled remote sensing instead of CRV. Yeah, well, I think we're due for a terminology upgrade. It's been a few years, and just like we're still dusting off Pat Price's crane, target, and sketch, for demonstration, we need some new stuff, and we have new minds that have been taught, thousands of people. And so you have a larger sampling, and so it's time to improve upon the processes. Doesn't mean you threw away the basic foundation, but you need to be improving on the processes, which could include terminology, and the concepts that go with it. Yep, like map makers. Yep. So whether or not that helped you with your question, Janine, I don't know. So Terry, I hope you got something from tonight. I know you hadn't been here before, and Ron, I'm sorry, you was getting some feedback from your mic, so I muted it for just a minute again. But Terry, if you had any questions, excuse me for itching my nose. If you had any questions about anything, feel free. We'll try to address them. I know should probably scroll back up. I know you said that seeing ideograms like this was new for you, so you were going to look into that. Okay, this way of drawing ideograms is entirely new to me, very interesting, and you need to learn how to do that. Oh, great. I need to scan right now. Absolutely, and so many questions, but I'll save them for a conversation. Okay, here's my phone number, and either that or line them up, put them in an email, send them my way, and we'll work on it. But your ideogram is a knee-jerk response. It's a kinetic response, and it's part of the mental martial arts, but it's the kinetic knee-jerk response to a gestaltic concept. And so when you take coordinates, whatever, we use dates, year, month, and day. But whatever your coordinates are, numbers work better than letters. You need to, that gets your pen moving, and so you're already moving and making that ideogram happen. Other people just take it cold, and I mean, that's fine. I mean, if that's the way you train and you make that ideogram just bang, that's fine. But coordinates help you mark this session for record keeping, and it helps get that pen moving. Trying to think what else about that. And then you describe, each ideogram individually. If you have multiple all in one, we talked about at least 2 viewers here had multiple ideograms in one, and then you learn to feel along it with your finger or your pen, and I mean, it sounds totally nuts. like it feels different under your pen or your finger. And it's like, huh? And you just learn to go with it. You learn to go with your gut, and it's like, okay, it feels different right here. And you make a little hash mark. And you divide those out, 1, 2, and 3, and whatever, how many you've got. And then you go over to the right, and you describe them, the shape of the ideogram, how it feels under your pen or your finger, and then declare it as your gestalt, whatever matches up. If you get something that is unfamiliar, you go ahead and use it as an unknown. You can just say unknown, and that's when you bring it down and start working it. You work it as an unknown, and hopefully at the end of your session, when you compare your perceptions against what you got for that unknown, maybe it will start to make sense to you what it is. And especially if you start seeing it all the time, you are going to build your ideogram library. It's a language. And so, like, Lynn has 400. He's our famous example. But, he's got an ideogram for male adult, male child, baby, shake them all out, and he's, got one for everything. But I always consider it like shorthand, You learned the language, I don't know if you ever did in school, but we learned shorthand, and there were phrases or words, and they had essentially an ideogram, or, not a pictogram either. Lynn would say, he would know. But your ideograms are going to grow as you keep practicing. So that's a given and an expected thing. So you're going to be going along and doing, finally kind of turning out some good sessions. You're getting kind of happy, still kind of, I don't know how this works. Can I really do this? But you seem to be doing all right. And then all of a sudden, your subconscious is going to have a growth spurt. And you're going to get some wacky ideograms or targets that look like total junk, but your subconscious is giving you information in a new way because it's learned that you are paying attention to it. And for the first time, maybe, it's like a kid is like been yanking on its mom's skirt the whole time growing up. Like, Mom, 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 you're too busy. Now all of a sudden, Mom's paying attention. You can just get the other conscious mind kid to shut up for a minute. And feeling the ideograms and sketches. Sketches are ideograms. You can probe them for perceptions. We recommend that if you're probing a certain spot, you number it, or you can put a letter on it. But then instead of writing on the sketch, you put a number there, and then you come down below it and write what perceptions go with that particular area and move around it and start describing them that way. When you are in intermediate and work in the columns, you can still do that, but you can start working the columns in the same way and bringing stuff down and having a different method of documentation. Okay, well, 10:20. Anybody, if you have anything else, and hopefully Lynn will be back with us and feeling better. And Linda also has injured her foot, so they're kind of having a time of it right now. So if everybody sends them all their best, I would certainly appreciate it, and I know they would too. They don't ask for help. They don't put themselves on our prayer list much. They kind of want to maintain a low profile, but they could use your support. So mental, much love and grief and supportive thoughts their direction would be much appreciated because they have a lot to teach us. They're a team, and the whole species will grow because of what they learned and can pass on. So helping them stay healthy and feel their best, God love them. We need them. And I think that's all I have. So see you in a couple of weeks. And if you have any questions, always feel free to email or call. And Terry, if you've got a bunch of questions, just line them up in an email and send them. And we'll go from there. I think we're done. Night, everybody.